It seems that we're almost in the midst of a constitutional crisis. What happens if MPs vote for a customs union? Does Theresa May have to choose between her party and the will of Parliament?
Well, it is pandemonium here in Westminster at the moment. It may look calm behind us, but in fact, actually, behind that, those inside those buildings, is more politicking and more bitterness, actually, and political conflict than I've seen in my political lifetime. And the reason for it is that two different things are going on, both of which are causing huge stress to the British political system. We have a government and a parliament which have completely fallen apart, which has never happened in modern political history. And secondly, we have a Brexit proposition that's imploding. And the problem is that the Brexit proposition is still supported by the Prime Minister and still has this referendum result of 3 years ago. Now, where things are moving towards is a long extension of the negotiating period, this thing called Article 50, the process by which we negotiate our withdrawal, that I reckon will be probably another year, and that will put the whole thing on hold while we sort it out. So, in fact, if you're sort of trying to make sense of all of the pandemonium going on, what is in fact happening is Brexit is being put on hold, but it's being put on hold in a very messy way.
Right, but putting on hold for 12 months, I'm not sure what it changes. And in the meantime, they have to organise European elections, and then they also have to contribute to the EU budget. How palatable will that be?
Well, not palatable to Theresa May at all, which is the reason why she's struggling until the last. She's 3 times put her deal to a parliamentary vote, lost 3 times. She might well try a 4th time tomorrow or Wednesday, so she certainly doesn't find it palatable. But where is the parliamentary majority coming out? And we are a parliamentary democracy, so ultimately parliaments will be what happens. Where the parliamentary majority is coming out is long extension, which if that means that we have to fight the European elections, so be it. We will, of course, for as long as we're in the European Union, contribute to the budget. We don't break the law as a country. And in that long extension, the issue will be resolved. I'm absolutely confident of that as a parliamentarian. How is it most likely to be resolved? By a second referendum?
It is wonderful to have you here today on too many counts. One of them, Lord Adonis, is your father was an immigrant, a waiter, and all the good that has occurred within your academic career and your public service. Fine. But then the question is, where is your Labour Party? You are expert on Labour history. You are expert back to at least William Gladstone. Is Jeremy Corbyn abdicating his responsibilities for Labour?
Well, again, there's a difference between the leader and the followers, as there is with Theresa May. The Labour Party, as a party, is overwhelmingly pro-European.
What are you going to do this week to straighten out your leader?
Oh, we will vote. We don't actually need to move our leader now, because he has moved. We will vote tonight in the votes that are taking place in Parliament tonight. We, the Labour Party, will vote for a second referendum.
Here's what I've learned in
and against a no-deal Brexit. So we've got to the right place.
Here's what I've learned in 24 hours. Every cab driver in London roots for Arsenal. I figured that out. And the other thing I learned is they all are scared stiff of your Labour leader.
Well,
how do you change that?
Well, I'm an Arsenal supporter too, and
lost. Continue.
No, they're a great team, Arsenal, and they're also Jeremy Corbyn's local team. They're Islington in North London. But so far as Jeremy himself is concerned, you need to separate out the person of Jeremy Corbyn, who of course is anathema to particularly small traders like cab drivers because he's on the far left. You need to separate that out from Labour's position on Brexit. Now, Jeremy Corbyn historically has been anti-European because the far left, the Marxist left in this country, regarded the European Union as a capitalist conspiracy. Yep. But the overwhelming majority of Labour members and Labour members of Parliament are pro-European, and that is how we are now voting.
In the next 5 days, how are you going to take the Labour Party from the Marxist worry over to public service if in a general election you actually win?
Well, we're not going to have a general election, because the one thing that both parties will agree on in the immediate future is that they don't want an election, given that the political both parties are
Jeremy
so
Corbyn wants a general election.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. There isn't going to be a majority for a general election. That would mean Conservative MPs being turkeys voting for Christmas, and they're not that stupid.
Which could happen.
It won't happen. We've had 2 motions of confidence so far, and the Conservative Party is held together with not a single Conservative MP rebelling on either occasion, so that's fantasy land.
Why would Parliament actually vote for a second referendum? What if we get a 52-48 Remain? What if we get a 54-46 Remain? It seems that would be problematic. Do you then have a third vote just to square it off?
The reason Parliament will vote for a referendum is from a combination of people like me who believe we should still stay in the European Union, and that is actually the mature, considered view of the British people, and we need to test that, and a large number of my colleagues colleagues for whom this is a lifeboat, that we're paralysed, we cannot make decisions, Parliament and government aren't at one, so we need a referendum to break through the logjam. Now, if there's I actually believe that if there's a referendum, rather like 1975, when we had a long period of debate leading to a referendum, I think there'll be a decisive majority for staying in the European Union. But it doesn't matter what the majority is. Provided we stay in, that is the end of Brexit, because no government is then going to proceed with Brexit. And the idea that we would have another referendum...
But Lord Adonis, won't half the people feel cheated? They voted. They voted to leave.
No, I do not believe that. I'm an experienced politician. I'm addressing Brexit meetings up and down the country at the moment. It's my big thing. It's very important to understand that most people who voted for Brexit were not voting about Europe. They were voting against profound discontent at the way this country is being governed at the moment. Austerity, the state of the public services, real wages down on 10 years ago, the fact that their own lives have got worse. That's the reason why the proportion who actually care passionately about Europe is tiny. It's very vocal. You can hear some of them behind me, but it is tiny.
We have the same debate in the United States about a Republican Party like the Whigs in 1842, pre-Gladstone, that has narrowed down and become a Republican Party of a few. Do you perceive the Tory Party as the same way, where they've just become so narrow, evolving over the last 10 and 15 years?
Well, they've become very narrow at the moment because they've become absolutely obsessed and overwhelmed by this European issue.
Then why can't Labour win decisively? I don't understand that.
Well, we have issues on our own side, which you've identified. So at the moment, what we have is an uncompetitive political system, and that is, I'm afraid, part of the reason why we have Brexit. But our democracy is a great democracy, and what I think will happen if we stop Brexit is that both parties will move dramatically towards the centre. The Conservative Party, which is not historically an ideological party, they are not, if they lose a referendum now on the Brexit issue, they are not, as a party, going to obsess about Europe.